as the lit candle signals, we're about to witness the greatest love story in the history of love stories. Romeo and Juliet take a backseat, okay? Because we got Jerry and Karla doing up the love shenanigans. And yes, for the first time, I'm going to be watching a catfish show for the first time. I've said that. The original Catfish show obviously is American, but then you got the UK version, and I've never seen either of them. So today, we're going to be starting from season 2, episode 1, because I am a menace and I don't play by the rules. So let's dive into this and get a grip of ourselves immediately.
Karla, she's wonderful. I'm not gonna lie, she's amazing.
Whoa. This wouldn't be a H video if I didn't pause it 0.1 seconds into some sort of nonsense. That photo immediately, to me, just looks too doctored, right? It's not you and some guy with the latex gloves on sitting in an office. And if you are not in an office with someone sitting there with latex gloves, then Freaky Friday night.
You naughty.
But the photo looks too glammed up. That's the case with a lot of catfish stories. The victim is receiving pictures that just is not really intended for that one individual. You get what I mean? I'm not a modeling agency. Alright, send me a simple selfie, please. So after Jerry is done spewing out how much Karla is an amazing person, we see a snippet of a happy birthday message from Karla.
Happy birthday, Jerry.
That's her saying your name.
Now, yes, she said his name, but this isn't Destiny's Child, alright? If you ain't running games, say my name, say my name. Well, games are being run here, okay? Don't be fooled. In a lot of cases, especially when there's a scammer involved trying to swindle you for money and whatnot, they do sometimes get other individuals to record a message for you so that they seem legit. But also, it's really easy nowadays to get AI to record a message for you or to manipulate even the most stillest of images and get its mouth moving in the most robotic way, of course. But it does swindle some people. So please just be aware that yes, whilst she's said his name in the happy birthday message, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the legit Karla. We go on to find a little bit more about Jerry. He's 25. He's from Dagenham, which has a debate in London. You know, is it East London? Is it Essex? If you're not from London, you're probably thinking, what are you what's an Essex? What's an Essex? That I don't know what that accent was. But it's not E-sex. I promise you that. Despite, you know, we're looking at catfish stuff here. It's not E-sex. Anyways, putting aside the E-sex, okay, Jerry needs some help.
Help me find my dream girl, which is so cute, by the way.
Nella, girl, as cute as it may be, given what we probably know about catfishes, right? I'm not sure someone who never meets up with you can be classed as a dream person, but maybe that's just me. Maybe you could argue it's a dream, so you are never going to meet them, technically, because when you dream, you know, it's up in here, it's in your head. So I could see the reasoning behind, sure, it's a dream person, because you're never going to meet them, only in your dreams. Karla is 22, or, you know, claims to be 22, lives in Ealing. So, again, all my Londoners, you got Dagenham, you got Ealing. To me personally, that's not that far away. And nowadays, especially with the introduction of the Elizabeth line in London, it's like an hour journey. So I'm not sure what Karla's doing here. You can never meet up, XYZ, but why? It's an hour away. Let's stop acting like we're continents apart, okay? Now, in some catfish stories, I can somewhat understand, again, if we're continents apart, it's not that easy to meet up. But when you're in the same city, it gets a bit sticky. Now, I wanted to point out one of the messages that was exchanged between the two of them. If you see on your screen right now, Morning B, how's uni? Now, inherently, there's nothing too much wrong with this, but I have a personal pet peeve against the word B, okay? It's sort of UK slang for babe, baby. Where's the other 3 letters, guys? What are we doing here? Alright, if you claim to love someone as much as you do, or you care for someone as much as you do, give them the whole word. Do you know what I mean? In my personal opinion, they are worth more than 1 letter. But that could be just me. But we're gonna scratch that in the record books, because we're taking that 1 letter, we're gonna turn it into 6 letters, because we're gonna talk about Canada. See what? Canada, 6, Toronto and stuff.
This is great banter. It really is.
Why Canada, you might be asking? Oh, Canada. Why? Why have I mentioned you? Well, Jerry goes on to say that he wants to move to Canada and that Karla will accompany him because lovebirds and whatnot. The big issue here, of course, and we're not talking about any sort of magazine, but you could argue there are staples in magazines, but there's no staple of a relationship here. Karla doesn't video call. She doesn't even answer the phone. So I'm asking questions. You want to move to another country with someone, but you can't even hop on a little voice call.
You're joking.
Do you see my issue here? How can one thing happen without the very minuscule thing happening? So Jerry, of course, questions this, and he gets the oh-so-classic excuse. Sorry, B, really busy today. I'll text later, KXX. Now, to me, not only is your use of B bizzing me off, but K? Just K? I thought we left K, like, back in bloody 2010, or whenever it was popular. What happened to O? Okay? Like, is that so hard to type?
Mr. Krabs, I am so confused.
I must stress, though, being busy isn't the end of the world, of course. If you plan to meet up with someone and they tell you, hey, I'm busy, XYZ, cool, no worries. Don't beat yourself up about it, because well and truly someone could just be busy on that day. However, it gets to a certain point, you know what I mean? It's giving disrespect if you continuously try and plan something and the other person never seems to have a day off. Either you work too much, and I recommend you take a break anyway, because work at the end of the day is work. You will be replaced, but I'm not here to give employment advice, okay? But there's a level of disrespect there, and to be honest, if you really wanted to meet up with me as much as I want to meet up with you, you would reschedule yourself and tell me of a day that you are free, rather than me having to come up with all these plans and you just shutting them down. Also, another maybe pet peeve of mine, because it's not that big on my list of pet peeves, because I don't really like phone calls much anyway, but if someone calls you, you would kind of expect the other person to call you back rather than text, right? Especially if you do care about someone so much that you're willing to move country with them. Are you gonna call me back? No? But also, we cannot gloss over the fact that she literally doesn't video call, as I've just mentioned, it's always just text, text, text. So forget the big red maple leaf on the Canadian flag. Karla's got her own red flags. With a text message bubble on it. I also believe that if you're talking about such huge commitments, right? It is a big thing to move to another country with someone. I believe those sort of communications, talking about future plans, the catfish, ironically, has you hook, line, and sinker. Because you've got it in your head that there are these future plans that you have to hold out for. So you're sort of being love bombed in a way because you're holding out for this huge commitment, as I mentioned, and it's never gonna come, but you've got that promise in your head. You've got that wish, that desire, that dream in your head. So you're just waiting, waiting, and waiting.
He's in love. And he's waiting to say it to her in person, which I think is actually proper cute.
Nella, girl, as cute as it might be once again, I really think that you shouldn't fall in love with someone solely based off of text messages. Sure, these text massages can massage your brain into thinking that this other person is in love with you, but they're just text messages. Like, is this person going to show you the same level of affection off text messaging? Is the connection between the two of you the same in person? Shock horror, I think you can learn a lot about the depth of the connection between the two of you in person rather than just text messaging. And also, you get the added bonus of seeing the person in person and also seeing how things actually go between the two of you in person. Because a lot of times, text messages, yeah, you know, you're whispering sweet nothings to each other and whatnot, but it is just text messaging and it's behind a screen. People might feel more comfortable behind a screen, and when you meet up, the connection's not really there. You don't vibe as much as you do on screen. So I think it's important to meet up with someone and not just fall head over heels over text messages. But again, each to their own. But you have to put yourself first. You have to put the relationship first if you truly want it, and see how things connect offline. So I've mentioned her name a few times now, but Nella and Uber, the hosts of Catfish UK, actually do end up meeting with Jerry, but it's through video call. You see, Jerry, it's not that hard. It really isn't that hard. He goes on to explain why he feels the way he feels, and in the 5 months that he's been speaking to Karla, he's grown to be fond and even very much in love with her mindset, the way she thinks, and how open the communication is between the two of them. To me, this sounds just like a lot of other catfish stories, where the reasons why the victim is in love with the other person, their quote-unquote lover, it's just all pretty vague, is it not? Nothing there strikes me as personal, right? We haven't built up an image of an individual. Rather, just anyone can utter those messages, and sort of you can replace this person with anyone. Surprisingly, or maybe not surprising to a lot of people, he does go on to say that he has actually tried to initiate a meetup in the past, but alas, it's no use.
You know, I've set up multiple dates and I just keep hearing excuses.
As I mentioned before, being busy is okay. Sometimes you do plan things and cool, it gets shut down and you can't do it on a specific day. But that's where the respect comes in, and that's where I would hope that the other person is willing to actually reschedule, replan themselves, and you end up meeting up anyway. Again, it's all about compromise, and it's all about the other person willing to meet up with you just as much as you are willing to meet up with them. And again, you gotta factor in that Karla wants to move country with Jerry. So, I mean, you want to move country, cross the oceans and whatnot, but you are not willing to cross bloody streets in London to meet up. I'm cool. Well done, Karla. Everything you're saying makes sense here. I also think it's important for me to say that I think a lot of people attribute politeness and understanding to accepting people's excuse time and time again. And I personally think you can be too understanding. There comes a point where I truly believe you have to take a step back and recognize that you are wasting your time here, okay? This person clearly doesn't want to meet up with you. Again, they would have rescheduled on their own volition. And you are wasting your time with someone when you could be using that time elsewhere with someone who puts you first. He goes on to say that the cancellations are also always last minute, which, no, I've not sniffed the line. The BS meter is signaling me, and it stinks. Again, look, I'm sitting on the fence for this particular point in time. My booty right with the picket. Ouch, baby. I get it. Things happen. Emergencies come up. Something happens within the family, for example. And truly, you just can't meet up with someone. I get it. However, time and time again, and again, we're not rescheduling. Let's take a step back again. We could, again, be using that time with someone who, again, shows the desire to meet you as you do them. The hosts actually do end up meeting with Jerry in person, and once again, you see how easy it is, Jerry. He then goes on to clarify what he loves about her, the openness to talk about everything, and he goes on to mention his fondness, his admiration of astronomy, and how open she is to discuss astronomy with him. Tell me more about the stars, Jay. The stars are saying you're being manipulative, Karla. Okay, that's what the stars are saying. I get it. This openness to talk about anything makes Jerry believe that this could be the right person for him, because they seemingly gel well together, right? You talk about anything. But I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier on or not. Yes, I'm having a brain fart right now. But people early on in relationships, again, I can't speak for everyone, but people put the best foot forward, right? They want to make themselves seem like the ideal partner for you, the perfect partner for you. And I don't believe that's the way to do things. Although these sweet nothings are a good way of building tension, seemingly, in a relationship, especially early budding romances, you know, wow, you think this way as me, oh, we can talk about this, that, wow, this is incredible. But sometimes they're very short-lived. Now, this is not always going to be the case, of course. I can't say 100% of the time this is what happens. But a lot of times, you do end up meeting with this person who was whispering all these sweet nothings. And you do end up finding out that this person may have told a lie or two here and there. And they don't actually like what they like, or they don't dislike what they've said they disliked. And again, they were just doing it to sort of get in your good books. To me, ideally, you'd just be honest right from the get-go. Everything you like and dislike, shout out to the police going past right now. Yep, it is very criminal of you to be pretending to like certain things, dislike certain things, and just putting up a facade of someone you're not to someone that you're trying to get into a relationship with. Surely that defeats the purpose. Because when you are maybe a few months down the line in a relationship, or maybe even earlier on, the things you are saying you like, etc., you're gonna do them on or in the relationship. No? Like, surely, this Karla individual says she likes astronomy and whatnot, and then in person, Jerry is talking about astronomy. If they ever meet, in quotations, put an asterisk on that. If they ever do meet and they're talking about astronomy, surely body language, facial expressions, you'll be able to tell if someone is not interested. So then you've just made things awkward. And, it gets worse if many years down the line, all the things that you said you liked and disliked and whatever, it turns out you were just lying. And now it's like, have I been in a relationship with someone who's just lied to me about the simplest of things? Now, I could be reaching, of course, but that's just my personal opinion. Just be honest right from the get-go. If you think that you putting your best foot forward is the best way to start a relationship, it's not, okay? There are certain things you just shouldn't do, in my opinion. So if you dislike something that the other person is saying that they like, just be honest.
It's not that hard.
Now for this next part, I need you to strap yourselves in, okay? I need you to put on your tinfoil hats. I need you to bring out the red flags or whatever it is that you do to try and contain yourself from the, huh? What? Say that again, please? Because look at this.
Like, how did this whole thing begin?
No, that's a funny one still. So we met at a party, apparently,
But nothing, mate. Hold on to your butts. Actually, like me, I've gripped my booty right now so hard. I'm gonna stop now because I'm hurting myself. The story is getting weird here. I understand, because he does go on to say there was a lot of drinking at this party. But it seems you've swallowed the truth here, because he doesn't really remember too much about what happened at this party. But he does go on to say that his friend Joseph backs up that he was talking to a Karla, or someone that looks like Karla, at the party. Now, immediately on that, I'm not sure how much I would trust another friend saying that they saw me talking to this individual, because if the party was seemingly a wild one, weren't you also drinking? Now, granted, Joseph may not have been drinking, but we'll come to that a little bit later. He shows the hosts how she looks, and I'll show the picture on the screen of what the hosts were looking at. And to me, once again, that's just too glammed up of a picture to be sharing with someone that you've been speaking to for a few months. Now, at this point, the happy birthday message actually plays out in full this time, and my panties are in a twist.
Happy birthday, Jerry. May you have a wonderful day doing whatever it is that you decide to do.
Whoa. Now let's untangle my panties so that I can comfortably say this. I didn't actually do anything to my underwear, and I'm not wearing panties, okay? Just need to preface that, I guess. I'm weird, yes, but you've probably figured that out by this point in the video. But I've mentioned earlier on in a different context, it's just not personal enough for me, okay? Jerry's reasoning as to why he feels for her wasn't really personal enough, and there was no mention of personality, right? Sure, you could argue, we could speak together so openly is personality, but I don't really think so. But there's nothing in this message that's personal. And I keep bringing it up, but I have to. If you're moving country with someone, or you want to, you plan to, you can't throw in a little bit of a more personal vibe to a happy birthday message. Do you know, yeah, you blew a kiss and whatnot, but honestly, anyone could have done that. Also, on the personal aspect of things, I find it maybe a little bit strange that someone who you're calling B, babe and whatever, in text messages, but in the happy birthday message, you're saying the government name, Jerry. What happened to B? Like, I would accept B in the message. But again, also that wouldn't be that personal, but you get what I'm saying. Why Jerry? You don't say babe and whatnot? Like, it's just not personal enough for me. The hosts do say that this is actually a first for them. They've never seen a message where the victim's name is outright said. And Jerry does again go on to say that this video is the reason that he is still in this. But also Joseph, his friend, mentioning that he did see him speaking to someone at the party. I can't stress this enough though. Alongside all this unpersonalized things, I do not believe that someone who isn't willing to meet up with you is the right person for you. You shouldn't be wasting this much time and investing this much emotion into someone like this. You can send me as many happy birthday messages as you want, Miss Cameo, but I gotta draw the line somewhere. Jerry also goes on to say that they primarily speak through WhatsApp, and just cause I do this in a lot of other videos, WhatsApp, I don't know why, but I don't know why she also doesn't have social media. Now, I'm not saying it's entirely impossible for someone her age to not have social media, because some people well and truly just don't want to be on social media, and I completely understand that. But when you factor in the images that she is sending to Jerry, I'm having a hard time believing that these images are solely for her own camera roll. Now, again, playing devil's advocate and whatnot, there might actually be people out there getting all glammed up, all dolled up, just to take a selfie or a picture of themselves, which is not a selfie. I feel like I have to scratch that from the record books, right? All these pictures are quite, photo shoot-esque. Maybe there are people setting up their cameras in their homes, getting all glammed up, and taking pictures like this for themselves. But how likely is that? Do you know of the statistics? Huh? Let me know in the comments if you yourself are doing up Vogue bedroom photo shoot, please. Because I'm really interested to know. Now, I know that some people actually do maybe put on a bit of makeup, take some selfies, because they're feeling pretty on that day, for example. But these look like professional photo shoots. That's the distinction here. Now, a little bit later on in the episode, Nella and Uber are in a pie and mash shop for some reason, eating jellied eels, I guess because, UK and British. It's proper British to be eating jellied eels. I don't know. However, I only mentioned this specific part about the jellied eels because me trying to comprehend this story has left my brain jellied. So they share an email that's come from Jerry, who shares Karla's and Joseph's phone number along with more pictures of Karla. And again, look at the screen, please. These are too professional looking, okay? Maybe they are not seemingly too professional in the sense that, we got like the latest cameras set up on a tripod and whatnot. However, these pictures are going somewhere, right? I don't believe these are the images you are sending someone after 5 months, let alone someone you haven't even jumped on a video call with. Now, maybe I'm too old-fashioned. Maybe I'm so far out the loop with the dating game that, the young scallywags, this is what they are doing in the dating pool, right? They're sending pictures that push the boat out a little. They're a little risque. I don't know, okay? But I don't think that you should be doing this. So going back on me saying these pictures are going somewhere, they're used for something, surely, right? Especially the picture of her in lingerie of sorts. It seems in the background as she's at an event or something like that. I don't think, again, you are taking this picture solely for yourself. It's got to be used for something. Social media, perhaps, a modeling agency, as I mentioned earlier as well. It's got to be used for something. Now, I actually believe catfishes are smart, and loosely, we're using the term smart loosely, right? That pictures like this are ideally used because they keep the attention of the victim because, well, I mean, look at the pictures. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to say any more. So they do end up running the first image through a reverse image search and no results come up. Second image, also no results. Now, I'm 99% sure you're thinking, okay, maybe these are Vogue bedroom pictures and they are just taken for herself, for her own camera roll. But they ran the third image through reverse image search and found nothing. How about that? I bet you didn't expect that. My brain is jellied, mate. Well and truly jellied. Scoop it out my skull, slap it in a pie or something. That would taste disgusting. They reach out to Joseph. Joseph calls them back. And he says the same thing as Jerry, that he did see Jerry speaking to someone at the party. But the party was a blur.
How sure are you that the girl that you saw at that party that day was Karla?
I'll say, let's just say 60% sure.
You better be saying that you're 60% sure that you're having a good day and not 60% sure that the person I've been speaking to for 5 months talking about Canada and the stars isn't real, Joseph.
Daddy, chill.
Do you think he told Jerry that he was 60% sure that this is actually Karla? Because 60%, sure, it's positive in terms of it's not 49%, I guess. But goodness me, 60% isn't the odds I'd like to play with when I'm trying to commit to a relationship. I can't lie, the cynicism in me is screaming. And mentally, I'm pointing the finger all over the place right now, okay? I'm like a child stuck in a broken elevator. Maybe one of these buttons I press is going to get me out. No! The hosts, like a cut down tree, are stumped. And so am I. They search for the phone number that Jerry provided for Karla and they come up with nothing. However, they do add the number to their WhatsApp to maybe see what type of profile picture will come up once they've saved Karla's number. A profile picture does actually come up, and as you can see on the screen again, it's a very glammed up picture. They run this image through reverse image search and they finally get a match, and it takes them to a model's page who has almost 7,000 followers. No name as of yet, but they do decide to reach out through the Instagram page, hoping for a meetup of sorts, hoping for some sort of contact. And Nella says something that I found interesting.
Do you think that there's any possibility that this could be Karla, but she doesn't want to tell Jerry, like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm doing this and that on Instagram?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a possibility.
I assume they're talking about the risque photos and the modeling, and maybe there's some other stuff, but I'm not too sure because the Instagram was rightfully blurred out. To be honest, on a non-catfish case level story, in non-catfish related things, I do understand why some people would hide certain things about themselves, especially early on in a relationship or early on in a talking stage, perhaps. I understand some people think that certain aspects of their life will drive a wedge in what you've got cooking up with the other person, and the other person might flip a switch. They won't like you as much as a result. But I personally, once again, believe that you should just be honest right from the get-go. Your life is your life. Whatever it is that you do in your life, it is a part of what makes you, you. And you are eventually, no matter how long it takes, you're gonna find someone that likes you for you. And trust me, it's worth waiting for that person. I always think in a relationship aspect especially, it is the best thing to be authentically you. Because as we talked about with the astronomy stuff earlier, you know, this best foot forward that you're putting across, in the long run, you're hiding things from your potential partner, and the ramifications, big word, are gonna be severe, because maybe your partner will lash out at you because essentially you've lied to them and kept things secret, and that's just not worth it for either of you. Be you, let the other person fall for you, not, you know, a multiverses version of you, right? Doctor Strange has done all the stuff, and there's some version of you that likes something that you don't like, and you've lied saying you like it, and it's confusing, but hopefully you understand. You're just wasting yours and their time by hiding things. Time is money, baby, okay? Get that moolah. You know, time runs out every day. So live each day to the fullest and stop lying. Now, maybe unsurprisingly, the person does actually reach back out to the Catfish team after they reached out through the Instagram page. And the woman behind the account says that her name is Ty. Who the hell is Karla then? She agrees to meet up once she goes on break at work in 15 minutes, which is just crazy to me because this is all just like fitting together like pieces of a puzzle. They are close by enough that in 15 minutes they're able to meet up. It's crazy. It's absolutely mental how someone who wants to meet up with you will make the time to meet up with you. What a shocking concept, huh, Jerry? To be honest, I would do the same thing, even if I am at work, even if I am gonna go on break. I wanna come and talk about this catfishings, alright? Because you're telling me someone out there is using this? No. No. No, indeed, because I mean, if you use this, you need probably more help. How is this gonna help you? Here's a little bit of the phone call just so you can hear the voice and sort of maybe, can you make a distinction between the happy birthday message, Karla, and Ty from the Instagram page? Here you go.
Happy birthday, Jerry. May you have a wonderful day doing whatever it is that you decide to do. I leave for my break in about 15 minutes.
Okay, cool. What?
Possibly arrange something there.
Where are you? Sorry. Where are you working?
I'm in South East London.
Now, Nella actually does say that it sounds similar to the birthday message. However, me personally, I don't think the voice in the happy birthday message is all that unique in a way that there's no distinctions. There's nothing really that you could point out that is, you know, mind-blowing in comparison to other voices, if that makes sense. But that could just be me. Ty meets up the hosts in a pub of some kind, and they show her a picture of Jerry to see whether or not she knows who Jerry is.
No.
Never met him at a party.
I don't really go out like that, so no.
She even goes on to add that she's in a relationship, she has a boyfriend for 7 months, but surprisingly, and this is what's got me scratching my head, she goes on to mention that she does do happy birthday messages when people reach out to her. What?
I do videos like that every now and then.
Yeah.
I'll get a message in the DM saying, can you make a video like this for me, please?
Wow.
And I just tend to do them.
So the episode cuts back to her going to work, and cool, you know, you gotta get back to work. But this is more important, okay? Come back here. I got questions. Surely it can't just be me that wants to know more about her creation of these videos. Who are these people requesting these videos? Why are they requesting her to do them? Because sure, I get it. You want a happy birthday message for someone. But this isn't Cameo. And I get it. She's got almost 7,000 followers. So maybe she is some sort of quote-unquote famous model. But why her? I just can't seem to be drawing a conclusion as to why her. Why does she accept them, right? Is she getting paid for them? I'd assume if she's doing this, she is getting paid for them. I'm becoming more and more jellied as the story unfolds. The hosts eventually meet back up with Jerry at their hotel room and they share their current results. He doesn't recognize the Instagram page, but he does recognize the woman from the pictures as Karla. They of course reveal to him that the woman behind the Instagram page as a whole is someone by the name of Ty. See that face right there? That is the face of a defeated individual. The fact he even threw in a kissing of the teeth, you know he's flabbergasted.
Man's been scammed, isn't it?
I don't know why, but the way he said that and just the sentence as a whole is just funny to me. Man's been scammed, innit? Bro, man's well and truly been scammed, yeah. And for this next part, I'm sorry, but I'm becoming so jellied to the point I'm going to be sponsored by Hartley's. Sponsor me. But what is going on? Look. Where is he going? Like, bro, where are you going? I understand. Obviously, this is very traumatic to be hearing. And, you know, it's like being dropped an anvil on your head or something like in the cartoons. I understand. But at least say something before you get up and leave the room. I mean, maybe that's just me. I'm kind of nitpicking there because I don't really think there's anything wrong with it. I just found it funny that he just got up and left. The hosts decide to send a voice note to Karla on WhatsApp.
We're aware of kind of what's been going on, and we would love to bring things out into light that have been in the dark.
They leave it for the day, rightfully so. I mean, running about to pie and mash shops, pubs, meeting up with people who do cameos. For some reason, it takes a lot out of you. I can understand it. So they leave it for the day, and then the next day, Jerry mentions that he did receive a message from Karla, and he lets the hosts know.
That she wants to meet up at midday in Epping Forest.
Epping Forest. Now again, to all those outside of the UK, Epping Forest is not really like a forest in terms of like, there's a jungle and, you know, the Amazon rainforest vibes, okay, not Bezos. But it's not really like a forest, but it's sketchy-ish. You know, for context, here's a picture of where the hosts, you know, the production crew, Jerry, this is where, you know, this is what the surroundings look like of where they're stood. Like, I guess it's public enough so that if anything was to go down, someone can see it, I guess. But it's also private-ish so that no one is bamboozled by the cameras. Oh, well, what are they filming over there? Oh, let's leave them alone because they're in a park of sorts, so it's okay. Just word of warning, all right? If someone wants to meet you for the first time in a forest, right, do your research on the forest. If it's a forest secluded by trees and all sorts, yeah, don't go. I just can't stress that enough. If you really want to, then take people with you. You know, take an attack dog, call the authorities. Just be careful, because that sounds like a murder mystery movie waiting to be scripted. And say murder mystery movie 5 times in your bathroom. Okay, the joke has failed.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So they're standing there waiting, cars are driving past, you know, it could be any one of these individuals popping out to be Karla, right? I'm in suspense on the edge of my seat, and someone eventually starts walking towards them. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Jerry's reaction is an interesting one.
Oh, you're joking. Nah.
See, I was on the edge of my seat before, but now I'm really on the edge of my booty hole is, you know, edging against the seat. What am I descending this video into? But I'm there. I'm really confused by his reaction because it's telling me that he might know who this individual is. But without me knowing, I gotta pause it. Rat Boy is frothing at the mouth, whiskers akimbo. Ask the important question, Uber, please.
Do you know who this is? Jerry?
Yeah.
You cannot make this story weirder. What do you mean you know this person?
I'm Uber, this is Nella.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Sorry, what's your name?
I'm Cleopatra.
Turns out she's sort of a close friend, best friend at uni. All that studying, and I didn't see this coming. Guys, I can't stress enough, to anyone potentially thinking about catfishing someone. Please stop thinking that catfishing is going to lead you into this romantic Disney fairy tale where the other person is going to sweep it all under the rug. Yeah, no worries. I forgive you, let's have babies. Allegedly though, of course, because at this point in the episode, I had to pause it, give my head a little scratch, and think about what's actually going on. That's what I think is happening, especially considering that they know each other. Maybe she sort of likes him, and this was some twisted way of, pretending to be in a relationship with him without actually being in a relationship with him and jeopardizing the friendship, I guess. But don't do this. I'm no relationship guru, but stop this. I don't see how, hypothetically, if what I just said is the case, I don't see how going down the catfishing route is the right way to navigate a relationship that you potentially want with the other person. I don't see how that works out. I just don't. Cleo needs a minute to compose herself, I guess. So she and Nella go back to the car, but Uber, which both surprised me, but also made me give a little round of applause, has something different to say.
This is unfair on Jerry. What are we doing? You're the one who's been wronged, and yet we're completely prioritizing her feelings.
Now I get it. She isn't gonna be of much help in terms of explaining herself if she's feeling, I don't know why I put on an accent there, if she's feeling overwhelmed. I get it. She can't really explain herself. But we're talking about someone who didn't care about the other person's feelings whilst catfishing them for 5 months. The fact that Uber said this, I don't know how long they were waiting off camera for her, but again, this whole charade of 5 months, all these shenanigans, it's just ironic that now you're overwhelmed whilst the case is coming to light. And a good question, how did she think this would end? Would she have ghosted Jerry and then Jerry would be upset? But, if she claims to care for him, which she does go on to say that, is this really caring for someone? Also, at this point in the episode, I'm asking myself, Ty, did she know about this? Because if someone did send her a message saying, say happy birthday to Jerry, XYZ, does she know Cleo? Cleo then, and not surprising to me anyway, reveals that her and Jerry actually do have some history together.
So
Like romantic history?
Close to romantic, but like nothing.
we were just, you know, liking each other, taking everything very slow.
Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down, but I'm also going to put down what I've just picked up to ask you, how does any of this speed up things? Anyone? Anyone? Can you tell me how catfishing someone speeds up the process of two people falling in love? If anything, as I said earlier, you're kind of simulating how it feels to be in a relationship with Jerry, but it's not you, it's the person whose pictures you're using. So, is that good for you? Ella does ask why their romance stopped, and Cleo goes on to sort of back up what I was saying earlier.
We thought if anything else was to escalate and then it didn't work, it would like
Ruin
obviously
the friendship.
look bad in the friendship. It's gonna be awkward in class.
I get it. You didn't want to ruin the friendship aspect, but this, in most cases, and at least to me personally, this would ruin the friendship aspect. Jerry, rightfully so of course, standing in the bloody Epping forest in the cold and stuff, yeah? He wants to know why she pretended to be someone else.
Because I do care about you and because I do actually, let's say, like you, and I could see you as someone potentially, you know, in the future.
You see what I mean? I care about you, but I strung you along for 5 months. I don't see how those things can coexist. You know, Cleo, what are we doing here? She goes on to admit that she does have feelings for him, but she again says something that I just can't make sense of.
I have feelings for him, yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't have catfished someone that I want to be friends with forever.
I love the fact that she's doing all these mannerisms, sort of, duh. There's nothing, duh, about the situation, Cleo. What are you talking about? Yeah, cool. You don't want to be friends with someone forever, so you catfish them. That made as much sense as your logic behind all this. That's where I've been going wrong all my life. That's why I've had the dating experience of a rock. But, you know, not Dwayne Johnson. I'm talking about actual rocks on the ground. Or do rocks secretly have relationships? We don't know. Scientists, get on that. Are there rock lovers? That means a rock would have better experiences than me. But that's where I've been going wrong with my life. I need to start catfishing people. Forget friendships. I don't care. I'm going to ruin your emotions. In all seriousness, though, I do understand not wanting to lose a close friendship. And even without the catfishing aspect, when two friends, or when one of them likes the other, and they don't want to admit it because they're scared of the friendship being ruined, so they just keep those emotions bottled down, I understand you don't want to lose the friendship. However, I think it's incredibly selfish to manipulate someone for this long, especially someone you claim to care about, and to run this facade as long as she did. It's just selfish to me that you've done all this thinking you're going to end up together. You are happy to jeopardize Jerry's feelings, and you know, we don't know what was going on behind closed doors and how potentially this has affected Jerry off camera, maybe with his studies perhaps. We don't know all the ins and the outs, so we don't know the true extent of how much harm it actually caused him. But it's just selfish that you wanted to be together with him, so this is the route you've chosen. And to be honest, if he really wanted to be with you, I think maybe you would have been together anyway. I think there is a lesson to be learnt there as well. If things are going slow, you communicate these things. You know, where are we heading? You know, the cliche, what are we, right? And if you don't really get the answer that you're looking for, you'll be able to come to some sort of conclusion that perhaps either you're best left going separate ways, or you work things out together on how to proceed, you know, speed things up, if that's what you both truly want. So maybe there's a case here that Jerry, or you, I mean, you didn't communicate with him as well, right? Maybe there's a case here that you just weren't meant to be together for the long run. And that's why things were going slow. But, you decided instead of communicating, I'll catfish you.
I was literally so scared to get hurt.
I personally think there's the selfishness again, because I get it, right? You were scared to get hurt, but you weren't scared to hurt him. It's very one-sided here. Cleo even goes on to say that she bought a new SIM card to be able to text Jerry, and that even when they were together, hanging out and whatnot, when Jerry would text Karla, he wouldn't get a reply, because little did he know, he was actually sat next to Karla. The next part about Ty, I legitimately kissed my own teeth when this was revealed.
Ty is my friend.
You know her?
Yeah.
What the is going on in here on this day?
I asked the questions earlier about Ty and the whole happy birthday message video nonsense, and it seems that Ty was covering up for Cleo, I guess. Personally, it was just all too strange. Now, I'm not saying that Ty can't do all these things, and maybe she is actually bloody Miss Cameo, but why? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's the reason people would go to her, a regular, degular, schmegular civilian? Yes, she does modelling, it seems, but she's not a celebrity. Why are people going to her for these happy birthday messages if it's not to find someone who's seemingly under the radar enough to catfish someone?
She know that you was talking as her to me.
She did.
First of all, I just want to pinpoint Nella's face of shock and disgust. It's fitting. Yes, you do that, please. Show some humanity, I appreciate the fact that although this is a TV show, and you could argue, it's for the cameras, and it's not the most professional thing, but I appreciate showing human emotion to the disgusting things that are happening. But also, on Ty's part, I think it's very selfish of her as well, covering for Cleo, and not only that, being happy to be a part of the bloody catfishing scheme, and then you tie in the fact that Cleo's using her friend's pictures. Jerry likes who he likes because of the pictures. Cleo, it's not you that he likes, it's Ty. So, what are we doing here?
But she sat down with us yesterday.
She was obviously covering for me when she said, there was an account and asked to do the video.
Honestly, I can't lie. This is shameful behavior, and I don't know how either of them can look in the mirror, to be honest. And I'm gonna throw this out there as well, just because it's scrambling in my brains right now, and my brain's already scrambled, but here you go, you can have some of the scramble. Let me know if I'm reaching here, and if I'm just waffling for the sake of it. But if someone is happy to let you use their pictures to catfish someone, can you trust that person? This is the type of person that, or type of friend even, that's not going to tell you that what you're doing is wrong, right? They're going to egg you on even further with all this destructive behavior. Can you trust someone like that? Do they really have your best interests at heart? That doesn't sound like a good friend to me personally.
When I see you next week, probably I don't even know if we could talk. Probably just have to, I don't know, spend some time.
I tell you for free, he's a better person than me. Because if you catfish me, you had me hook, line and sinker. You had me swindled. I would not be spending any time with you or talking to you, listening to all of your BS excuses. You've broken the trust. So why would I want to be a part of rebuilding the trust that I did not break? I also want to point out a potential reason. I don't know if this was ever in Cleo's head or not. Maybe as a justification as why she did what she did. I don't know. But I've seen it used as an excuse before. So I just feel the need to bring it up. Insecurities. You're insecure about the way you look. So you're going to use someone else's picture, someone else's profile to speak to someone who you do actually like, in the hopes of one day again falling into this Disney fairy tale that they will turn it all around, forgive you, and like you for you, when no, that's just not how it works, okay? You cannot weaponize your insecurities as a means of hurting someone else because you feel a certain way about yourself. Now, I don't know if that comes across as harsh, but please, if you do have insecurities, which a lot of us do, I do, and it's okay to have insecurities, it's natural even, but work on them yourself with a professional if need be, before even jumping in to a relationship. Because if your insecurities are at the point where they are a detriment to yourself, to the point where it's a detriment to the relationship as a whole, you are just not only hurting yourself, but you're hurting your partner as well. 2 months later, Nelly and Uba jump back on a call with Jerry to see what's going on, see how things have been. Jerry says he's been studying, but let's be honest here, nobody cares about the studying right now, Jerry. Tell me what's important. Tell me what's happened between you and Cleo. Studying. Get that in the bin, mate. Studying. We're here to learn about catfishing. Which, you know, as a side note, do you think ever there will be the study of catfishing and scams at university? I'd actually bloody sign up, you know. I've already been uni, but I'd go back just to have a, you know, professionalism in it, or experience is the word, so that I can title these videos, Catfish Expert Reacts to blah blah blah. YouTube game. Okay, moving on.
That is a little bit awkward, but she apologized, you know what I mean? Like, she was proper sincere about it. Obviously, I can't forget it, but, you know, I just have to move on from it.
Again, he's a bigger person than me. But to be honest, let's be real, studies are the most important thing. So naturally, I would hope he puts them first anyway. I always say, put yourself first, because if you truly do care about someone, you want to care for them. So put yourself first so that you are in a position to care for them. Otherwise, everyone loses in that aspect, you know? If you are in a position where a catfish is swindling you for money, for example, put yourself first. Are you able to afford everything that you're forking over? Because if you're not, stop it. And even if you can afford it, bloody stop it anyway, do you know what I mean? But anyway, I hope he's been able to focus on his studies despite everything that's going on, especially what we touched on earlier. You know, romance, feelings of love, etc., the complications of it, it can play a toll on your mental health. I know that firsthand. Now, obviously, a very different situation, but when I was cheated on, my studies were impacted because I was feeling not good about myself, and I was letting it affect my work. You know, it got to the point where I was like, am I even good enough to finish the schoolwork? Like, am I smart enough? What was the reason she didn't like me? I didn't want to go class because obviously people knew and stuff. So it can play its toll on you. So I hope it didn't affect him too much. And again, the selfish aspect of Cleo, she didn't think about any of this, did she? When she was doing up all her shenanigans, but she was scared of getting hurt, the friendship ending. Yeah, but you didn't care about him, so, you know, this friendship anyway seems one-sided. Now, I'm not saying it did or it didn't affect Jerry, because I'm not in his personal life, of course. I can only hope that it didn't impact him or at least it didn't impact him too much. Maybe he was thinking about it at times, but I hope it didn't affect his schoolwork too much. And to be honest, Nella puts it simply.
Focus on your books. Thank you.
So that was Jerry's and Karla's story. A mind kerfuffle, is that a word? To say the least. But I actually think it raises awareness on a very good point. Cool, the catfishing aspect, you know, the red flags, what to watch out for. Those are all well and good. But I think this episode does a good job of highlighting that the people around you, no matter how much they can try and gaslight you into thinking that they, or thinking for yourself, you thinking that they care for you, you know, these people can sometimes be the most detrimental people in your life. Now, maybe shock horror, I think Jerry will survive this. It wasn't something on the scale of losing out hundreds and thousands of dollars, millions of bloody brain IQ. I was going to say money as well, but I already said money before. Just, you know, a lot of money, basically. Or you've lost out information, right? Maybe you've given sensitive information such as social security numbers, or in the UK aspect, national insurance numbers. You haven't given over anything too crazy, but time itself is a commodity, some might argue. Time is money, right? And I think he wasted a lot of time here. And also, you know, to anyone who does argue time is money, could you send me your actual money then? Because, you know, I'll show you how much of a good time I can have with it. That doesn't really make sense. I just wanted to make that joke because we're talking about catfishing and, you know. But seriously, be cautious with who you give your time to. And especially learn when to give up when the situation or the person that you're speaking to is not reciprocating the energy you are putting in. You know, in most cases, giving up is looked down upon, right? However, for cases like this, when someone is not dishing out the energy that you are putting in, it's okay to give up. It's okay to run away because you're wasting your time. If they are not willing ever to meet you, not even to have the decency and the respect to reschedule, replan, sound like a parrot, I've said that so many times, but I gotta hammer that home. If no one is able to reschedule with you, you leave them alone, okay? They don't want to meet up with you. Otherwise, they'd make the effort. And don't let them gaslight you into thinking that they care, because you're not showing you care. I'm sorry to Cleo, but also not sorry in what I'm going to say. But I don't believe you care about Jerry, plain and simple, because you wouldn't have catfished him. Don't know if that's such a shocking revelation of me to say, but in my opinion, you just don't care. So, to all 5 people who might be watching this, thank you very much for watching this. I do truly hope you enjoyed this very different style of video maybe. It did take a while whilst watching the episode to note things down, etc., clips to use, blah, blah, blah. So I really hope you enjoyed this. I really hope that you do take the time to comment, like, and subscribe. If you are not subscribed, it would really mean the world to me. I really appreciate everyone's support. But especially on videos like this that are a little bit not usual ones, please let me know your thoughts. I did enjoy doing this, and I hope it's reciprocated. You know, since we're talking about reciprocating energy and whatnot. I'll see you guys next time. Please let me know of any other stories you want me to cover, and I'll see what I can do. But I probably will do another of these, especially if people do enjoy them. So, let me know your thoughts. Bye. Please don't meet people in forests for the first time. Don't.